Hello friends, I am Dr Saket Bihari, Associate Professor IIPA. In this video, you will go through 10 questions of General Science of UPSC Prelims. So in this, we take the first question. And the question is, water can dissolve more substances than any other liquid. And there are 4 statements that have been given as a logic. Now let us consider the fourth statement. And it says it is an oxide of hydrogen. Yes, you have hydrogen oxide, you have hydrogen peroxide being the oxide of hydrogen. But it does not fulfill the requirement of solubility. Now we take the third statement that it has high value of specific heat. Yes, when there is a chemical reaction between oxygen and hydrogen, it does provide heat, but again it is irrelevant for the solubility feature. Now we come to the second statement that says that it is a good conductor of heat. Water cannot be a good conductor of heat because it does not have free electrons. All the electrons that are there are already engaged in the chemical bonding. Now we look at the final option, that is the option number first or the statement number first, that it is dipolar in nature. Yes, water is dipolar in nature. But how? If you look at the structure of water, you find hydrogen are attached with it, and hydrogen is having positive charge and oxygen negative charge. In the course of interaction, we find that oxygen becomes partially negative and hydrogen partially positive, and as such it is a feature of polarity, and that is why the first statement is the correct answer. Now let's move on to the next question. The question is about S2. Is a very relevant question, and it became more important when the spread of coronavirus was noticed. First we should understand what this S is. This is angiotensin converting enzymes which are attached to the membrane of cells in intestine, kidney, testis and gallbladder. S is a protein on the surface of many cell types. It is an enzyme that generates small proteins by cutting up the larger protein particles that can go on regulating function in the cell. Using the spike-like protein on its surface, we find that it easily gets if we consider this as the cell and this as a spike-like virus, the one that is found at the outside could be called as S. And in this, it is very easier for the virus to receive the interaction, and hence S acts as a cellular doorway to the receptor for the virus that causes COVID-19. In the search of treatment for COVID-19, many researchers are focusing their attention on a specific protein that allows the virus to infect human cells. So if you look at the options that are given to us, genes introduced in the genetically modified plants, that is GM, is not related to this. If we go to the second option, that is development of India's own satellite navigation system, again it is not relevant. If we go to the radio collar for wildlife tracking, of course nowadays it is used, but S is not relevant to this also. Finally, it is relevant for the spread of viral disease. As such, the right answer is D. Now let's move on to the next question. There are 2 important features that are asked within this question, that is tricholson. The one is the high levels and the other is long time. Well, when tricholson is used at high level or its higher levels for a longer time, it becomes harmful. Tricholson is an antibacterial and antifungal agent that prevents the growth of germs such as bacteria. It is an ingredient added to many consumer products in order to prevent bacterial contamination. it was charged for creating hormone disruption, decrease in the level of thyroid hormone, and bacteria being resistant to antibody. Now if you look at these four options, the first one is food preservative. Food is preserved for longer duration. So even if the amount of tricholsan is small, it may harm the consumer. So therefore this may be rejected. If we look at the second option, that is fruit ripening substances, again the use of tricholsan for longer duration could be harmful. So this is also not right option. Under option C, it has been written as reused plastic containers. Well, when the plastic is to be reused, is a very important term, that is reused. Obviously you are going to use tricholsan for the longer duration, and as such it also becomes harmful. Now come for the toiletries, if you can look at. So in toiletries, generally there are different items that are used, like you have different detergents or toothpaste, soaps, where tricholsan is used because the interface of tricholsan with the human body is very short, very small in that case. So therefore the right answer is toiletries. Now let's move on to the next question. The question is regarding astronomical distances and its measurement in the light year. First we understand what light year is. A light year is the distance light travels in one earth year. One earth year is almost 6 trillion miles, that is 9 trillion kilometers. The astronomical distances are measured in light years because the speed of light is constant throughout the universe and is known to have high precision for measurement. For example, the nearest star to Sun, that is Proxima Centauri, is 4.2 light years away, meaning the light we see from the stars take a little over 4 years to reach us. Distance between stellar bodies are changing because the expansion in the universe and its physiochemical compositions are of course changing. So to say that distance among stellar bodies do not change is a wrong statement. And to come to the gravity of stellar bodies do not change, you see there is something called G is equals to mg upon r square, where G is the gravitational force or the gravitation, M stands for the substance mass, and G is universal gravitation constant, and this R is the distance between the different substances or the radius of the planet in that way. So we cannot say that gravity of the stellar bodies are not changing, it is also changing. So this is also incorrect answer. Now we come to the C option, that light always travel in a straight line. Mostly it does, but light is also a kind of wave, and since it is a wave, there is a wavelength. So when it passes through different mediums, we find some kind of change in the straightness of the light. For example, if you look at the black holes, you find there is a tilt in the light, and if you remember Mahabharata period, the total internal reflection and the creation of mirage are also related to the bend in the light. So light generally travels in a straight line, but as a matter of fact, if we look at the different mediums, we find that light bends. But so far as the speed is concerned, of course in one specific medium the speed of light is always same, but the moment you change the medium it also changes. But since question has been asked in connection with the astronomical distances and we consider that area as a vacuum, so the speed of light remains same. With this, let's move on to the next question. This question is regarding street lighting, and two kind of lamps, sodium lamp and LED lamps. If you look at the sodium lamp is mixed with other impurities to create more white light. The mercury helps add blue spectrum light to the pure yellow of sodium. LED, that is light emitting diode, on the other hand, is a semiconductor diode which glows when a voltage is applied. It lightens in one direction. How does it happen? You may look at it. If we consider, for example, sodium light, we can write it as Na light, sodium light. And if you have this LED light, there is a filament in sodium lamp, but around the filament, the sodium particles, they evaporate, and as a result, you have light in all the directions. So it becomes light at 360 degree, and in the case of LED, light just comes straight, and therefore in a way it becomes 180 degree. Coming to the first statement, that sodium lamps produce light at 360 degrees, but it is not the case of LED, is a correct statement. Now we look at the second statement, that as street light, sodium lamps have longer lifespan than LED lamps. To this, sodium lamps have the lifespan of 24,000 to 25,000 hours, whereas LED lamps have the lifespan of 25,000 to 2 lakh hours. In this case, the statement number second is incorrect. And now we look at the final statement, that is statement number 3. The spectrum of visible light from sodium lamp is almost monochromatic. Yes, we should know what monochromatic is. Mono means one and chromatic means color. So when you take the sodium light through the prism, you find the same light coming out from the prism. But in case of the LED light, it will get into 7 colors, and therefore the statement number 3 is about the monochromatic of sodium lamp stands correct, and LED lamps offer significant color advantage is equally correct, and therefore we have first and third statements being correct. So for this, the right answer is C. Now let's move on to the next question. Now the question is recombinant vector vaccine, and there are 2 statements. So first we should understand what recombinant vector vaccine is. Recombinant vector vaccine consists of a fully competent viral vector backbone engineered to express an antigen from a foreign transgene. Recombinant vector vaccine are live replicating viruses that are engineered to carry extra genes derived from a pathogen, and these extra genes produce proteins against that we want to generate immunity. So recombinant vector vaccine is a type of vaccine that is injected in human bodies in order to improve upon the immune response. When we add coronavirus with adenovirus, it becomes their recombinant. But if we look at the second statement, so the first statement stands correct. Now for the second statement, that bacteria and viruses are used as vectors. Vector means carriers. So of course bacteria and viruses are used as vectors. So both these statements are correct, and therefore the right answer is C, that is both 1 and 2. Now move on to the next question. This is regarding bisphenol, and now is a concern, and this concern perhaps came in the news somewhere 2020. Bisphenol is an industrial type of plastic that has been used to make certain plastic and resins since 1950s. It is found in polycarbonate plastic and epoxy resins. Polycarbonate plastics are often used in containers because polycarbonate plastics are very hard, transparent, and they are also durable. So you see, this is a factual question and therefore the right answer is polycarbonate. Other options get eliminated because it has nothing to do with this A, C and D option. So the right answer is polycarbonate. Let's move on to the next question. This question is regarding communication and two technologies. The one is LTE, that is long-term evolution, and VoLTE, that is voice over long-term evolution. There are two statements given. The first statement is LTE is commonly marketed as 3G and VoLTE is commonly marketed as advanced 3G. As a matter of fact, LTE and VoLTE are commonly marketed as 4G. Though LTE is little backward in terms of improvement in sharp contrast with VoLTE, so this is an incorrect answer. Now we look at the second statement, that is LTE is data only technology and VoLTE is voice only technology. As a matter of fact, both LTE and VoLTE are data cum voice technologies. But if you look at the uses of LTE, you find you can use it either for voice or for data at a time. Whereas in VoLTE, you can use data and voice at the same time. So this also stands incorrect and we find the right answer as D, neither first nor two. Now let's move on to the next question. This is the question regarding hereditary disease and there are two statements. Let us consider the second statement first. A child inherits mitochondrial disease entirely from the mother and not from the father. It is completely correct response. So this is correct. Now we consider the first one, that passing on mitochondrial disease from parent to child can be prevented by mitochondrial replacement therapy either before or after in vitro fertilization of the egg. Yes, before in vitro fertilization, the therapy is called spindle transfer. And after in vitro fertilization, the therapy is called pro-nuclei transfer. Pro-nuclei transfer. So both the statements are correct and therefore the right answer is C, both 1 and 2. Now let's move on to the next question. The question is related to digital signature and is a factual question, that digital signature is basically an electronic method of signing an electronic document and ensuring that the original content is unchanged. This is incorrect. The first statement is incorrect. The second statement is equally incorrect. So the right answer is only third statement, and for this the right answer is C, 3 only. Thank you.